Hello, everybody. Welcome to the supermoon in Aries, full moon in Aries, happening Monday, October 6th. It's as you can probably feel, it's a very strange time, lots of intensity, lots of awareness and information coming to the light, lots of things are moving forward. Well, but what does that mean? What does that mean? Moving forward, things are happening. Things are not dangling and stagnant. Things are moving forward um, into the Aquarian age. And with things announced like in Britain with a digital ID that is now being protested widely across the UK. Very Aquarian, Brave New World, 1984 type of thing to happen. Um, Now we see Palestine, flotilla, Greta Thunberg arrested and now facing torture in Gaza. People trying to help Gaza, Italy shutting down. Uh, there's people are rising up. Stories are being suppressed, but not everywhere. Threats are being made. Counter threats are being made. It's a pretty intense time. And when we talk about a supermoon, which means the moon is closer to the earth, closest to the earth, so it's going to look larger, which means an even more intense gravitational pull from the moon, which intensifies the emotions, intensifies the chart. And because it's in the warrior sign of Aries, along with the other things in the chart, I I feel like this full moon is quite activating and it's being seen already. In some ways, is it better when action is happening, when people have had enough, when conflict isn't just sitting and watching and waiting, it's actually begun, begun. And so it can also be fought against or resisted. Or is this weird illusion of stability when nothing is happening, but it's waiting in the wings? Is that worse? You know, you might be asking yourself that. I'm asking myself that. I find it very intense lately. There's also the I follow it, but I don't pretend to know exactly how this all works with the Schumann resonance or with solar flares, geomagnetic storms. I've been following this off and on for years um, to notice some patterns, but I wouldn't say that I study it enough to teach you. However, we've had, if you check those sites, the Schumann resonance, Schuman, it's supposed to give a sort of a picture of the frequency of the Earth, and it will show when there are um, sort of light blasts, which can be from solar activity on the planet. And then that also can destabilize us and our magnetic fields, our electromagnetic fields. It can destabilize, strong enough solar storms and flares can knock out satellites and disrupt communications. You might have noticed the last week or two, especially your internet connections are stalling or slower. Um, you might notice physical symptoms that come when the solar storms come. Some people feel really ill, some people feel exhausted, some people, can get headaches or blurry vision and, some people might say, oh, this is just BS, psychosomatic, like Uh, but I don't think so. I think that we are sensitive enough, our bodies, and I'm sure animals. We can feel it when there's something disturbing the matrix, if you will. We can feel these currents. Not everyone is sensitive enough to do it, but I think a lot of people are. And even if you're not sensing it, it doesn't mean it's still not going on. It's just a lot of people are good at dismissing their sensations as, oh, well, probably something I had for lunch, you know, and they're content to leave it at that. So it's interesting to notice that the activity, solar storms and flares, Schumann resonance, been very high of late as well, on top of, you know, these sort of almost Mercury retrograde level computer glitches and slowdowns and internet. And it's reflected in the moving forward with protests and walkouts, shutdowns. You know, since I spoke to you last, they've taken Jimmy Kimmel off the air and restored him within 4 days, I think it was. And if any of you were paying attention to the attempts to bring aid to people in Gaza with the flotillas, um, and all the countries involved in that, it's absolutely heartbreaking, terrifying, inspiring all at once. And now, as I mentioned just yesterday, I think 2 days ago, I saw Keir Starmer announcing digital IDs in Britain to crack down on immigration and illegal workers. And there's going to be mass revolts against people having digital identification. So we're in it now. I I've been feeling for a very long time, over 20 years, that 2026 would be a very pivotal year on the earth. And here we are on the precipice. And I wouldn't have been able to tell you back then, you know, over 20 years ago, we're going to have digital IDs. And there's a lot of stuff I wouldn't have been able to predict, but I did keep hearing 2026 over and over and over and over and over in my mind for years. It would just come to me. And this seems to me like one of our very pivotal years in terms of whether we blindly swallow the authoritarian plans or whether we revolt and win against them. And yeah, it is dire and it's depressing, and it would be nice if I could tell you other things. I mean, have to find solace in your own life, in your own friends and family, your pets, in nature, in your creativity, hopefully in taking care of your health, taking care of your mental health, because what's going on is really, really intense. And I've been feeling it physically as blood pressure is high, but that could also be these EMF, electromagnetic storms too, could be sending blood pressure up. I'm not sure. That's why I say I haven't tracked this enough with enough people to say for sure, but it does correspond. Um, and it's, despite the beautiful weather and lots of good things personally, I'm still just feeling absolutely overwhelmed by the level of change going on right now. So perhaps you are too. So let's take a look at the chart. If you want to keep in touch with other people like-minded like yourself, you're welcome to join for free my Facebook group. It's called the Intuition Cafe on Facebook, Intuition Cafe. And you know, I don't bombard people every day with stuff, but I will ask you questions here and there and prompt you to tap into what you're feeling, your intuition, your vibe is on something. I might show you a picture, I might ask a question. And you don't have to write anything, but it's just a place to have different kinds of conversations, and where developing your intuition is the point of the group. So you're welcome to join that. So I'll put the link below as usual. Otherwise, let's get to this chart. So happening Monday the 6th, late at night. It will be it'll be visible then in North America. This chart is cast for North America. And sorry, not North America, for the Eastern time zone. What am I saying? I'm sorry. I'm admittedly overwhelmed right now with all the world changes. So forgive me. All right. Eastern time zone. I cast it for Montreal this time. That's where I'm living. So what we have is Cancer is the rising sign. Sun is in Libra down here. Moon is in Aries. Pluto's over here in Capricorn. As you can already see, we have a fixed square. We have lots of oppositions and squares in this chart. If you've been following me a while, you'll see it, right? There's a lot of red lines, a lot of conflict and challenge in this chart. So Jupiter is in Cancer, and it's right here on the ascendant, which is in Cancer, which is why I believe we're seeing acts of heroic kindness with boats from all over the world trying to bring food to feed people in Gaza. You know, Cancer is about the stomach. It is the sign of the mother. It's all about nurturing and feeding. Jupiter is benevolence and justice. And so it's interesting right now, we see an act of justice and nurturing and feeding people. Well, although lots of news is not covering it, which really makes me angry. So therefore, there is compassion, and there are acts of kindness and thoughtfulness and generosity with Jupiter in Cancer here. Very much. And if you notice, Jupiter is one of the only planets that is accented well with all of the blue lines and aspects. Jupiter is trine, or making a good aspect to the North Node in Pisces, which is also about oneness of humanity and compassion. Recognizing everybody's suffering, going beyond the ego and doing, understanding the greater picture that if one area is suffering, we're all suffering. So having the North Node in Pisces, and again, close to Saturn, but not really completely conjunct Saturn, but Saturn in Pisces, as I've mentioned before, is also the life lesson, which is the same theme of Pisces. The North Node is your karma, the Saturn is your life lesson. So two strong forces pulling us towards Piscean acceptance, compassion, transcendence. These global mobilizations and the awareness that's being passed around of what's coming in one country and how people are reacting, resisting, protesting in one area, as it will likely come to many. People are trying to get word out and support and protect each other. And the sad part, is that as the lesson is all about understanding that we're all in this together on this planet, that you can't isolate one thing and decide that it doesn't count or it doesn't have an impact on everything else, is just an absolute illusion. All you need to do is, see the air quality on one coast from a forest fire on the opposite coast, thousands of miles away, that can travel within a day, to think, well, oh, it's a fire. It's there. It's hundreds of miles away. It's not part of my world, so I can ignore it. Well, no, you can't. The air quality affects you as well. We're part of the same planet, and it trickles down. And so does violence, and so does people having nothing to eat, and so does people's rights being taken away. And if you think, if you think that you can compartmentalize the world and that it's not affecting you, well, like I said, a lot of people are good at denial and dismissal. And some people are denying and dismissing, and others I know are not doing that. They are focusing on themselves because they can't cope with everything that they feel based on this awareness. But they are they are feeling it, they are aware of it. So it's very different than somebody who's just, worrying about their next, sports car purchase or something, as if it's got nothing to do with other people suffering on the planet. And it's just interesting and sad that as we draw towards this life lesson, this karma, where we're supposed to be aware that we're all in this together, that people push back the hardest. And we see these enormous displays of violence or ego. One person on TikTok, it was nobody I'd seen before, but they brought up this point that was quite interesting that I'll bring up here because I think it makes sense. It's sort of like, if you know a lot about narcissism, and then you have seen what happens when a narcissist is confronted and collapses and has a tantrum, when they are exposed and outed and they can't hide anymore. You experience this backlash, this rage, because their gaslighting's not working on you now. The manipulation control tactics are not working on you now. They can't sway you back into thinking they're a good person, or that they didn't mean it, or whatever have you. It's done. Game's up. Mask is off. Then you see their rage and their wrath, that they've got nowhere to go. They're cornered. And this is sort of where we're at too. Whether it's the embarrassment of Hegseth and Trump's speech too. It was just embarrassing and humiliating towards all of the military personnel that were disrespected. The mask is off to their entire military personnel now, as well as the rest of the world who's watching it. Where are they going to go from there? They're going to escalate to try to keep the game going so that they don't have to be confronted. But at the same time, like I said, if you've known narcissists and then the mask is gone, it's ugly. When they know that, okay, you caught me, the jig is up, okay, you see me, then sometimes they'll turn it around and go, well, you always knew I was like this, so it's your fault. So I'm just being myself, can't help it. Or like they will twist it around back on you somehow, and then they can sometimes take it as license to just be even worse. But at least the jig is up. There's no more game going on. And so to me, when you've got all the kindness, abundance, tenderness of Cancer, accenting and helping along North Node, Saturn in Pisces, Neptune still sitting at 0 degrees Aries, but they're all together. All these, um, it's altruistic, but it's beyond altruistic. It's wisdom. It's altruism is like, oh, it'll all be fine and everybody's good deep down. And yeah, but not everybody, I mean, is at that place. It's not about having rose-colored glasses. These planets are deeper knowledge, deeper wisdom. The cycle of Pisces, it's the last sign, and these are the last degrees. The Saturn and Neptune are like right, especially Neptune is 0 degrees. It's kicking off a giant new cycle on the planet. Saturn, it retrograded and it's back, and it's just in those last degrees of Pisces again. And the North Node's still, 18. It's got a little ways to go. We've got a little bit of time to still learn this lesson, these karma, before it's almost like like a window closes. It's like, okay, we gave you experiences, we gave you knowledge, we gave you tools, meditation, visions, we gave you healers and mystics, we gave you um martyrs perhaps. We Do you understand yet that your suffering and other people's suffering, your joy and other people's joy, your health, your environment and other people's, it is intertwined on many, many levels, and you can't separate it out and just be cruel and selfish. And because this is the lesson, which is so profound and difficult, there has to be a surrender with that. There has to be a moment where when the mask comes off, there is healing, there is a release, there's a purge, there's a recognition, there's, I'm sorry, oh my God, I can't believe, there is amends in that high Piscean energy. And if we as a planet are not ready to evolve that way, then we will kick into a different cycle. So of course, not everybody evolves at the same time. And so it's really crucial and sort of scary moment that we're at in history. How many of us have grown? And when people talk about enlightenment, we're not talking, I mean, enlightenment is stages and stages and layers and layers and layers of awakening to how things work, to who you are, how others are, the nature of reality. It'll never stop. It's not a switch. Oh, I had this insight. I'm enlightened now. So now everything I think is like somehow higher and better than other people. No, at all. Not at all, at all, at all. So it's not about how many people have become enlightened or are living in a fifth dimension or whatever stuff you see out there. That's to me, more the more I'm in this field, the more that's just sort of a nice fantasy about people wanting to think that they are bypassing all of this shadow work that you just can't. You just can't. Everything is love and light and beauty and perfect, and everything happens for a reason. And no, that's bypassing. And so the end degrees of Pisces, those are not bypassing. Those are moments when the shadow and the self have been faced, and now there is peace. There is compassion for others. There is not a hierarchy of I am better than and below than. And obviously our planet is not there yet, or we would not have racism or classism or sexism. But we do. We do. And of course, Pisces can also be the sign of the martyr, and that could be religious martyrs. That could be any figure that becomes a martyr. And I'm hoping that we don't see more of that in a destructive way, but they're trying to create them here and there with people. I won't mention names, but they're doing it to manipulate. A true martyr like Jesus will not, you know, well, maybe I can't say, maybe that was manipulated as well. Can't say for sure. Wasn't there. I wasn't there. Neither were you. All this to say, we're at a crucial time where we're either going to build a new world with actual equality and rights and fight for it, or we're going to submit to a lot of weird surveillance and um, unraveling of a lot of mental and social skills. And we could go into a very strange time if we don't fight for our rights and the rights of others. So this is the precipice I feel we're on. We have been for a while, but now, like I said, there's being actions being taken, things are initiated. I mean, you can't turn back from a from something like you know, is it 45 different countries have been sending aid to Gaza, civilian run, not governments, civilians. That's an enormous outpouring and organization of compassion. You know, Italy has shut down. They're not buying things, they're not going to work, they're not paying their taxes in protest. You know, then there was the burning of the parliament and the election or installation of the first female prime minister. In Nepal. So it's just wow, you know, it's just wow, the level of we can't just go back from that and go, oh well, we'll just go back to the mystery of I don't know what's going to happen. No, it's here. It's here. Um we can't go back from this now. Something has been activated. And so with the moon in Aries, which is a warrior moon, it's fierce, it's strong. When there is an actual crisis, you want an Aries moon with you. When there's no crisis, maybe not so much because they will create one. But oh my God, our Aries moon is fierce, fierce and effective when there is a real crisis. They will call out injustice. They will run into the burning building. They will, you know, as we see here, send ships. They'll risk. They will risk in order to save them. They're preserve their basic selves and their rights. The Brits are also out there protesting the digital um, identifications. I mean, moon in Aries, full moon in Aries is not a time when governments should have been poking the bear because it's fierce, the fight, the pushback. Of course, it's opposite the sun in Libra. Libra would rather talk about things and negotiate things over a table than go into battle. But hopefully it will bring people to the table. Hopefully it will provoke diplomacy. We have, you know, Pluto and Aquarius here, which, you know, pushing for the new world, pushing for the rights, freedoms, actual equality, but also breaking down barriers and adding new technologies and new ways of doing things, restructuring the world. Definitely active and opposite Jupiter. Jupiter wants to, in Cancer, wants to, you know, bring everybody a hot chocolate and put a band-aid on their knee and give them a place to sleep. And they're caring for people's basic welfare and needs and comfort like a mother. Pluto is pulsating and saying it's colder than that. It's Aquarius is Pluto in Aquarius is a cold technician. And it's like, well, that's nice. I know they need a place to sleep, but um, progress is progress, and this is better for the future. So we're ripping this thing down instead of. So that's a huge dichotomy right there. Um, Jupiter and Pluto are squaring the moon in Aries. Aries is going to fight. Well, Pluto's not quite squaring the moon, actually. Look at that. Okay. 13 degrees. It's a bit wide. It's squaring Chiron in Aries. It's still triggering. It's still triggering the Aries energy. Um, although that's the wound, a wound of the self. So could a wound of the self in Aries pertain to who am I? Where do I begin and you, where do I start? Where do I end and you begin? Where do I have rights to my body, my privacy, my mind versus what I give, what I am expected to give to be part of a community or planet or country, or so that could be part of how that ties in. And then, of course, as I said, we've got a square down here with Jupiter and Sun in Libra and Sun Moon opposite. Again, Libra would be, more likely, like I said, justice and laws. When you get big stuff happening like this, Libra is no longer the pleaser, the one in the middle, the balance, on a personal level, the being creative, creating harmony and decor and saying the right things. And it's deeper than that when you have something this big going on. Now you're calling attention more to the very laws of justice, karmic and human, that pertain to us all. So I would imagine, with all that's going on, and I'm only talking about a bit of it, right? I'm only talking about a bit of some of the huge things that are going on. There's more, but that's what's been brought to my awareness, or what I can find in the media online, because we can't find it on everywhere. So that's where I will be watching these themes play out and see. Do we see, could the Sun in Libra represent the United Nations or NATO? Could there be more appeals or new laws or loopholes found that would allow action against Israel right now with Gaza or with the torture victims? Obviously, Libra can also, since it represents law and justice, can also be embassies, diplomatic, foreign, right? Like people that are trying to get people safe and free from where they are. If there's Canadians who are in the flotilla and they're in danger, who's in charge of going to get them? Who's going to talk to the other countries? That can fall under Libra. And again, Moon in Aries is a tough, bloody negotiator. So I get a feeling of a lot of fierce action being taken. And there's, I don't mean to scare you, but it is scary. But I've also seen a few reports that North Korea, has apparently issued a threat that if Greta Thunberg is harmed, which she is now, she was wrapped in an Israeli flag and forced to kiss the flag before she's jailed. And apparently North Korea has issued a threat that if Greta Thunberg is harmed that they will send missiles into Israel. So this, like I said, we're not going back now. Now we're in another chapter. The last eclipse season was very intense, probably for everybody, probably more on a personal level for you. You might, because I'm talking politics, but it applies with Saturn in Pisces. The lesson is that it affects all of us. So how are you in a position also where you feel like you're starting a new chapter and there is no going back? Is there a fight in you to preserve yourself for your own rights? Because now that it's become bigger on the world stage, we will all have to do that and support other people who are doing it. But you might literally have something more direct in your own life that's going on with it, where you have to step up and fight, assert yourself. You might, with Jupiter and Cancer, you might know people that literally need food and shelter and help right now. You might, certainly, I'm sure, whether you think you do or not, families that need help and food, and many people that need all kinds of level of care. So hopefully in your personal life, you will see that, or you will give that, or you'll receive it if you need it. So all of these themes play out globally and personally. And you might feel also that you are in a brand new chapter. You might feel this activation, like whatever this next thing is that's coming. And just sort of like COVID just came and hit us, and we were in a new chapter. And then it gradually faded out, or, still recuperating mentally from, and many people physically from that chapter. But it morphed into another chapter, and that's the crazy part about life. And during times of conflict like this, where like just insane levels of fast change, we are asked to just adapt and adapt and adapt and adapt and adapt. And that really is hard on us physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It makes it extremely hard to make any kind of plans, to set goals, to have any sense of stability or what's possible. And maybe you did, and now it's going to be revisited because things are changing, or something is, something comes up that we have to deal with yet again, and we have to readjust yet again the sails. So the other thing going on here, again, squaring and opposing, that is difficult, that I want you to be especially careful of, is Mercury and Mars square Pluto over the weekend. I've always told you over the years, if you watch, that Moon in Aries is a difficult time to be expressing your temper. You have to be very careful. And with Mars Mercury square Pluto, be careful not to do anything. Don't overdo it. You could injure yourself. If your knee is not good, don't get up on a bloody ladder or a rooftop. Don't think, oh, I can just carry that one more thing up the stairs. Be careful on the road. A lot of people, I'm expecting more car accidents and blockages and road rage over the weekend. So I would caution people to be careful on that level. Also, to pick your battles. There's going to be a lot of people feeling, this is what I mean, whether they believe it or not, there is so much conflict and movement and shifting a balance of power in the air. You can't not feel it somehow. It's just, most people will go, oh, it doesn't affect me. I'm over here, it's over there. What can I do? Well, no, we're all implicated. We all get produce from different countries. We all buy our cell phones, all have electronics that are shipped through the Suez Canal, possibly from Asia. Like our oil, like there is so many ways that our money, our tax dollars goes towards organizations that fund things that are over there, whether it's weaponry, whether, we are all implicated in the world on some level. And this is what I think we're all being asked to step into, is much more of an in-depth global awareness, because if we're going to counteract or know what we can do, where is our power, we have to know how it works. If you don't know the nature of how a fire spreads, you can't put out the fire. If you don't know where the source of water is, you can't stop the leak. And so now we're being asked to know where our money's going, how it's spent, where our resources come from, so that we have power with our dollars and with our choices. So because there's so much going on, I'm this chart with all the squares, there'll be a lot more debates and arguments. So you might want to just be aware of that if you're going to like a wedding or a family gathering, or you're meeting somebody's parents for the first time, or you just want to pick your battles. Because it's intense enough. If you watch me all the time for all this time, I don't warn like this very often. This is a particular time when I'm feeling the need to really warn you to take care of your health and your mental health. Don't bury your head in the sand and deny. You probably are not like that, or you wouldn't even be listening this long to my video. But you don't have to make yourself sick either. You're going to have to really balance your self-care with your awareness of what's going on and your choices and your research. Like I said, you're going to have to balance this out with how much can you possibly digest, and also, what environments, what people you're around, because the potential for conflict is very high. When it's this high in the world, it trickles down to us, into our, it could be a stupid petty grievance with a neighbor, but there it is. And you don't want to poke a bear if you don't need to. Let the bear sleep. Wait for different timing to bring up things. But it Moon in Aries is very volatile. It could just, you might just find yourself saying it anyway. So the biggest, most positive aspect in all of this, okay, because there's always higher levels to everything, right? There's petty levels, and then there's higher levels to anything to me. The same petty squabble with let's say, a neighbor that sounds just so like, oh my God, why are you even talking about that? Who cares whether their plant is on your property or not? Like, but there's also deeper layers to everything. Even the most petty thing can be brought into these layers of shadow. Oh, why does somebody care that bad about whether somebody's property is honored to the inch? Who didn't respect your boundaries? Maybe somebody feels like people are always taking from them, and now this is one more time. There's, just to say, there are always deeper layers, even to the little petty stuff. So we've talked about the conflict enough. Let's talk about, and we've talked about this very strong pull towards acts of humanitarian acts, potential for justice and legal acts to be put forth, and also the lessons of Pisces Saturn North Node, as far as understanding how intertwined we all are, and therefore we have to feel like we are one unit in order to band together and make things better for everybody. So those are higher energies. But the best aspect in this entire chart is down here, Venus and the South Node in Virgo. So extremely detailed, perfectionistic, service-oriented aspect. Finding what's pure, finding what heals, naming things in very particular, precise ways, which does help. You know, if you were in here, this is not a real apothecary, but if this were a real apothecary and I was your pharmacist, and you said I have this ailment, and I say, well, which one do you need to heal it? And if you said, oh, well, you know, the yellow one, Venus and South Node in Virgo would be which yellow one? One of them might kill you and one of them might make you feel better. So you better know precisely what you're asking for and why. You know, this is a strong pull in this chart. Be precise with what you want, with naming what something is or isn't, and with being very clear and precise what you want and why. That is a tactic to help get out of volatility and conflict. All right, and that is trine, so blue line here, to Pluto, which, as I said, wants to just very cool way kind of bring in the change, the revolution, the new chapter, the dismantling of what isn't working, the death and the rebirth. It's actually working well with that. Here's where it gets complicated. If you think of life in terms of black and white, like AI, it's all bad, it's all evil. Well, no, it isn't. Venus in Virgo, South Node in Virgo. Be specific. AI is a tool. As a tool, it is helpful with certain tasks to make them easier for humans. It is only evil, if you will, when it replaces humans entirely. If it is a tool, it can be a very useful tool. Venus in Virgo is the details. So try your best, because that's also a tool with conflict. Oh, well, you always do this. It's like, well, no, they probably don't always do that. And you're lumping every experience you've ever had together into you always do, you always, or you never. Nobody knows what to do with that one. They will just push back with another black and white statement. Well, you do too, or you always, no. Useless. Useless to solve anything. Venus and Virgo with, you know, Pluto bringing in a new change, a new chapter, a new way of doing things. When you do that thing that I told you really bothers me, and I've asked you and you're still not honoring that, now I have to take a different action on that because I have told you. Please respect this one thing. Very different than you're this and you're that and you're always, you know. No, it's I asked you, please shut the door, whatever. I don't. Please make sure the door is always shut and locked to our office, something like that. You've been forgetting, you haven't been locking it. It's okay. We've asked you, please lock the door. We've asked you. You know, that's a Venus and Virgo thing. That gets you out of a giant black and white heaving mud at each other moment that can easily happen in a chart like this, especially with Mars square Pluto. So err on the side of, okay, you want Pluto in Aquarius. You want the chapter to change. You want new ways of doing things. If your conflicts are about new ways of being with people or your work, your organization, your building, whatever it is, be precise in your language about one thing. Be discerning. If we did this, this would be much more efficient. This would allow this whole set of things could be better, could be changed. You know, if it comes to the international stuff, maybe Venus and Virgo would be like, well, this flotilla happened in international waters. You have Israel, you have violated law X number, blah, 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 blah. And on that grounds, we can pursue this action based on that one thing that was violated, instead of Israel's all bad and you're all bad and we're all good and then and this side and that side. You know, details. The details matter. Big changes can come out of this type of activation if there's some discernment. Now, the other crazy part of this trine is that Uranus is also part of this trine. Uranus and Gemini, which is like a lightning bolt, a very, you know, it can be, Uranus can bring in brand new ideas, like a flash of inspiration. Or it can bring in like volatile decisions, erratic decisions. Think about Uranus is like if you drive along the road and somebody's up ahead of you and they seem fine, and then all of a sudden you start to see the car is like veering around the road, and then all of a sudden, whoop, and they make some erratic left turn and they're gone. That's Uranus, just like, let's go this way. Oh, okay. And they go, and that's it. There's not a laboring of or analysis. Now, that's where this gets interesting and tricky again, because I just described all the detailed, you know, side of Virgo. With the intensity of change of Pluto. But this means, for me, what this means is that for those who have thought through the details, you might be able to make a very quick, almost surgical turnaround. But again, could that be us doing it? Could that be done to us? You know, you could say like a sudden announcement, like Starmer. Oh, by the way, everybody, from here on in, you need a digital ID. What? Like, obviously that was premeditated. That causes a lot of change of structure, and it's in the 7th house of relations to everybody. And it changes, you know, it fits with Uranus and Gemini to be like, oh, here's a new innovative idea. We're just doing it. And we already thought about it. Oh, and by the way, here it is. Bang, it's happening. What? No consultation about it? No meetings? No warning us that it's coming, giving us, you know, time to wrap our heads around it. It's just it's boom, there it is. So it fits that energy of sudden announcements that have been thought through. But you might also be experiencing that too. You might be able to be the one that makes the sudden announcement that has been thought through. There's a lot of potential for things to just like, whoop, let's go there. And off we go. It's very hard to live through times like this, I know. It's you know, there can be a lot of grief because you know, a version of yourself or of the world that you felt you knew well, you knew how to function in it, and you knew how to build your life and set your goals within that framework, is now it doesn't really exist, or it's not the predominant. Maybe it still exists in some way, or could be revived in one day, but it's not the predominant. And things are presumably going to keep changing and changing and changing on us for quite a while before we hit some sort of stable new normal. So there's a lot of grief, there's a lot of exhaustion, there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of fear at a time like this. But I do believe in the bigger picture of things, that a lot of old systems and ways that are being challenged and dismantled, and other people that are hanging on for dear life to preserve them and taking more and more extreme actions to hold on to their power or their binary thinking or whatever have you. It's intensifying because it's terrifying to have a brand new world, or to that maybe won't be based on so many power dynamics. We don't know yet what it's going to bring, but there will be a new world, and there will be plenty of people that are awakened to what they could lose. And there hopefully will be more and more qualified people to set the tone for new laws, and new ways of governing and sharing and protecting resources and the planet, so that more people have a better life. I don't want to be Pollyanna, but I'm certainly not doom and gloom. Pluto in Aquarius is, the revolutionary planet. The French Revolution, the American Revolution happened under Pluto in Aquarius. And we survived them, right? And we came through them, and then we had better times. So, we can survive these times and come through it into better times as well. As just this time with Pluto in Aquarius, instead of Pluto in Capricorn as the uprising, now it's bringing it into a completely different realm that might include more diversity of people's lives and identities, more diversity of expression, more inclusion of neurodiversities, and perhaps even including other planets and other dimensions. We don't know yet. We don't know yet. But we will get through this. So for now, I would say my main message is just the Jupiter and Cancer side of me that feels like saying, just take it easy, please. Don't have a heart attack over all of this. Take care of your body, take care of your spirit. Be try to pace yourself without, falling into complete despair. And talk to people about what's going on. Find others to share with. It helps immensely to express yourself. And yeah, be careful with anything where you could harm yourself, and to minimize the intensity of conflict if you're not up for it. And some of you, if you find yourself in it, and you're ready for it, it might be what you need to really catalyze a new chapter for yourself too, by just standing up for yourself or saying no more. The rest of it remains to be seen on the global stage. Oh, that was a lot. So let's go to the tarot and see what it has to say for us, if there's any other. All right. All right. I've got a Rider-Waite deck today. I don't usually use the Rider-Waite, so a lot of you will be more familiar with that one than my other decks, probably. And let's just see what it has to add to this supermoon for us as a message. All right, the first card is the Emperor, which is quite fitting. You know, it's emperors would be, you know, all the regular characters, the leaders of countries, the giant CEOs of companies, the people that, you know, the 1%, the rulerships, the kings and queens. Sometimes in a more personal way, it could be your boss, could even be a father figure. But you know, in the Rider-Waite, compared to my other deck, the Emperor is old and he's had his time. You know, in the Thoth deck, he's still on the battlefield and he could kick your, you know what. This guy, it's like, yeah, I've been there, done that, and now I'm really old and I'm just sitting on my throne here. And I think that's another theme that's going to come up more and more in terms of change going forward. Once we start to see a real shift in leadership and we start to say, do we really want to be ruled by 80-year-old sociopaths? Is there a time when you need to step down from your thrones and hand it over to someone else from a different way of thinking? So that's interesting to see that there's that age component here. And just like power getting older, you know, like losing it's got authority, but it's losing its virility. Now, the next card is the Nine of Pentacles, which is about wealth. So, of course, we all know I mean, that's an obvious thing to say, that there will be lots and lots of discussions about money and wealth and where it goes. But as I mentioned, let's not focus on, like, you know, rich versus poor and great divides and who spent how much. You know, we know. Let's focus on how we can have more power and understand our own buying power with what we have to help make a difference and make a statement. Pooling community wealth together in order to have power, for example. Purchasing power. And finally, well, that's nice. We got the Six of Wands, which is usually like the victory card. I mean, they're sort of proudly either riding away after a battle, presumably because the horses are cloaked in fancy blankets. There's wreaths on the wands. It doesn't really look like it's going into battle. It looks like it's come out of the battle. And again, it's hard to talk about, you know, winners and losers and what's good and bad because we all have a different opinion. Hmm. The thing that feels hopeful about the cards to me, though, based on all of this is, and again, you know, nothing's unilateral, like, but I get a feeling we will see some sense of victory or hope on the world stage on something. I don't want to predict which. You know, could it be a legal victory? Could it be a chain? You know, people speaking out that actually has some gravitas? Could it be people coming to somebody's rescue? Could there, but it feels to me like there will be some sort of victory, which is hopeful. And again, there's no black or white, like, oh, good, it's all fine, back to normal. No more growth, no more shadow work to do. Everything's fine for everybody. No, that's not life. We're just saying, like, it does feel like something will give us some hope. Will give us some hope. All right, let's take a look for your sign. And no more politics. And gonna take a look now at how your particular full moon in Aries will go. So of course, Aries, you will feel extremely activated. You'll feel, you'll feel things much more intensely this full moon. So let's take a look how it'll go for you or what you need to do. Oh, that's nice. You've got the Knight of Cups, which is more like a Cancerian man, like it's a romantic, it's a thoughtful, it's a caring, it's a, paternal, fatherly. He's intelligent as well. He's got wings on his helmet, so he's got interesting ideas, or he thinks in more elevated ways, and he's got a lot to offer. And so I would say, if you're surrounded by someone like this, might be good to just focus on listening to that person, spending more time with them, getting closer to them. It feels to me like they might be there to give you what you need. And that's a very nice, comforting, reassuring feeling for you, Aries. Not what I expected. So if you find yourself in intense times, or any kind of conflict or power struggle, then I'd love to see you reach out to who you think this represents, and let that really be your comfort and your rock. Wow, that's a very nice message. I didn't expect that. All right, Taurus, how will your full moon in Aries go? So, all righty. Okay, you've got the High Priestess. Okay. Well, the full moon in Aries falls in Taurus's 12th house, which is the house of the hidden, the unconscious, the mysterious. And you've got the Priestess. So you'll likely have a lot more intuition and flashes and dreams. Expect maybe some strong dreams. Maybe if you're lucky, some of them might be sort of insightful or predictive. Maybe some of them will include like a bit of intense stuff, like, you could have nightmare, you could dream about something quite strongly, but the Priestess is usually like our own deeper wisdom and our own deeper knowing. And it's a very strong sign to just go inward and really listen to your gut and your dreams right now, to get a sign, to get messages about people, things. And to spend more quiet time alone. If you haven't, you need some time alone. Yeah. All right. Geminis, how will your full moon in Aries go? You've also got a nice Ace of Cups. Nice love card. Doesn't always mean romance, but like there's love in this card. There's a full overflowing cup and the dove of peace, and it's You know, it's there's a generous open hand with this cup. So somebody giving love, emotion, giving peace. I feel like you're going to get into some good talks, some deep talks with people. I feel like it's going to bring out more bonding moments for you over the full moon. Um, Not in like a heavy therapy kind of way, more just like, sometimes you just end up um speaking on a subject or in a way that you don't normally with people, and then you get to know them better and you feel closer to them. So it's not superficial either. It's just a door opens up by whatever you share or is shared with you, or you see a side of a friend you've never seen. And it's nice. It's in a nice way. So that encourages you to spend time with friends and express yourself more and just be open to your friends. It could be siblings too. It doesn't really feel parental or bosses. It feels like peers, which can be, friends or siblings. It's very nice. Cancer, how's your full moon going to be? Ah, well, you've got the Empress. That's very Jupiter and Cancer, like I mentioned, you know, an abundant woman sitting on her throne, full of flowers and food, and she's like inviting you to come into her circle and share and be listened to and comforted and given a hug and a glass of, water or whatever, good meal, sharing sensuality and beauty. So I believe that for Cancer, of course, a lot of people might be coming to you to talk. Um, you might be playing more that, confidant or mother role over this full moon because people are going to need it. Hopefully, if you need it, you also have somebody wise and comforting to go to as well. I also feel you need a lot of rest. Like this is a very tiring configuration, all of this activation of planets. It's extremely tiring. So I don't know, keep just getting this cooking image with you. Um, maybe you need to spend more time cooking yourself or preparing yourself some healthy food, not eating out, not eating crap, not skipping meals, like nourish yourself and also a lot of rest. And I just dropped a card. So maybe that is the Leo card. Let's see. I have to pick it up with my toe. Okay. So for the Leos, we have the Seven of Pentacles. So the guy is looking at his crops and what he's grown. And as we see, it's a very full, leafy, abundant crop. And, the pentacles with the stars could also represent flowers or fruits or whatever. So this deck, it's a very different meaning than the Thoth deck. Um, Admiring the fruits of your labor. Maybe there's a bit of wondering why there's not more crops. Why didn't it grow bigger or taller? Because he doesn't look all fancy. He's not rich. But he's done well with what he's been given. He's done well with his work and his effort. He's done the best he could with what he had. So for you, perhaps, Leo, there's a theme of like accepting where you're at and what you have. Um, acknowledging all the work that you've done and that it is giving yourself credit that you've done your best, even if you're not where you wanted to be or where you fantasize yourself to be, you know? And I think that's a good message. It's humbling, but it's also very like grounded and realistic, isn't it? So some people associate that card, they would call it, you know, on the top deck, it even says failure. But that doesn't mean that you failed. That means you might feel like you failed, right? If he feels like, oh, I'm not wearing fancy clothes, oh, I don't have a big house, oh, I don't, my crops are small, but they're healthy, but they're small. So I didn't do as well as I should. I don't have as much as I should. Um, so you could be being hard on yourself. And if you can come to the point where you're like, I did a great job with what I have, and my life isn't over yet, and I can build better. And do I even need more? That's the other thing too, to ask yourself. Why do you need bigger, better, more? Why? For what? For who? So don't be so hard on yourself is the message, I think, for you, Leo, for this full moon. Let's take a look now for Virgos. So Virgo, when you've got Venus in your sign, that's nice right now. That helps you get things done. You like the discernment, you like the details. You are happy to purify your diet, your lifestyle, your place. You're happy to serve others and be thinking about that. So there's a lot of stuff that your normal nature, it's being supported by Venus. It helps you like your life and yourself better. So let's look for you. What's your full moon message? And you've got the Knight of Wands. And so right away, what I get from that is you might have a very strong-willed character in your life. The Knight of Wands is like, he's got this fancy costume, fancy armor, feathers coming out of his armor, the plumage. His horse is all red. Like he's showing up and you can't ignore him. He's there. So, do you have somebody in your life who's just like larger than life or demanding a lot of attention? Usually the Knight of Wands, we think about, fire and your own personal will to get things done, and like literally that inner fire. Do you have it in you to persevere? Because obviously we don't know, this knight might have been given everything on a silver platter. We don't know. Some of them work for it. Some of these kings work for it. Some of them are just given it. I would say by all this guy's plumage that he's not very practical. He's very showy. So I'm wondering whether you've got someone like that in your midst who is, got quite an ego on them, always showing off, always needing attention, maybe not terribly efficient. And you'll have to come to terms with dealing with this person somehow, or make some decisions about them, how you're going to interact with them. But Venus is in your sign, and it might be you might have already thought through, like, well, when it's the right time, this is what I would do, and this is what I'm going to do. Like, just call it and say, nah, we're not going to promote this person. He'll be on a different team. Who knows what you'll decide if it's in your power. Otherwise, like, again, the showiness of him is probably bugging you. And so, yeah, I just see it's really about you making a decision how you're going to interact with them. Don't get upset with them. Don't try to change them or point things out to them. Just like discern, where does this person sit in my life or doesn't. All right, Libras. So Libra, you're going to definitely feel this full moon. You know, it's like your birthday possibly. Um, and the moon in Aries is always opposing, so it can mean relationship issues come to the fore. And just like, again, intensity, anger that can rise. So just be aware of that. Let's see, what's your full moon message here? You've got the Hangman. Hmm. Well, there's a situation in your life that, of course, you maybe wish you weren't in, but you are, and you're waiting. You're biding your time. You can't really do much to get out of it right now. It's just a slow drip. But the thing is, the Hangman is a transformation. And so even if you're in a situation you don't love, it's changing you. You're not just like, how do I describe this? You're not just sort of like um waiting for it to be over as if it won't have affected you or changed the way you think or the way you see the world by the time this is done. And that's why you're in it. That's why you're in it. Otherwise, you would be leaving or ending something or stopping something or releasing yourself, or you would be released from it because it would be over. But because it's not, and it's something longer, um, you have to go through a deeper passage of growth to understand what this is about. And the Hangman is like a sacrifice that you're making, or perhaps someone's making to you. And a lot of people can start to feel really bitter with that card. You know, why am I stuck where I am? How come I don't have X, Y, and Z? Um, or they want to leave a person, or they want to leave a job, or even their city, and they can't. They feel trapped sometimes with that card. It's a very deep card for learning lessons that you would not otherwise learn if you weren't sort of stationary in a situation that you don't love. You have to shift the way you see yourself or that person or that job or that place. And that is the enlightenment that comes out of it. Yeah. So you're in a period of slow enlightenment by feeling a little bit stuck in your circumstances for now. So whatever it is that's bothering you that feels like it's never going to be over, it's for a higher reason. And the sooner you shift your mindset towards it, the sooner it releases and transforms into something better for everybody. All right, let's take a look for Scorpios. What is your full moon message? We've got the Page of Swords. There's someone around you who's you know, pretty feisty, very smart, very rebellious. Doesn't have to be in destructive ways. It could be, but it could also just be like a real mover shaker person. You're not going to stop this person. They're going to learn the way they need to learn. Often it's someone younger than you. Sometimes for some of you, this could be a child. It could be a niece or nephew, could be. And you know, this particular drawing of the page, it looks like somebody who thinks they can outsmart everybody. So again, it's somebody who might be more prone to be argumentative or oppositional. Somebody who is like stealthily outsmarting and tricking people at times. In the Thoth deck, It's very combative, and there's a lot going on of an inner struggle. This one feels like I don't think they understand that they're in so much of an inner struggle. I think they just want what they want, and they want it now, and they will do what they want, what they have to do to get it, without understanding there could be consequences. So if that's you, there will be consequences down the road to whatever this is. If it's someone around you, because most of the time, Scorpio, you're going to see right through these people. Perhaps it's somebody younger that you're guiding, or who you keep an eye on, or maybe you catch them. No, 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 you're not getting away with that, right? Scorpio, you're going to see somebody trying to outsmart a system, or outsmart you, or manipulate you, and you might be the one to call it out. Yeah. So you're guiding or you're catching. Interesting. All right, Sagittarius. Let's see for you. You have the Hermit. Well, we always think of Sag as like, where's the party, right? Like, let's go on a trip. But Sag is also more, can be like a philosopher, because they're always here to learn more and to be exploring the world, and constantly learning more and going deeper. And so the Hermit definitely is doing that. Now, if you've gone through many cycles like this in your life, you'll know that there's certain chapters of your life where you won't access any more knowledge, or you won't grow or feel challenged in a new way unless you do it on your own, unless you do it alone, or you have time alone. It's also a really strong meditation card, for me. Introspection and meditation. Um, and because usually, Sag, you're more prone to be aware of what's going on in different cultures and different countries, and uh, you know, you might be very tapped in to what's going on globally, and you might feel the need to retreat um into yourself, or into some privacy and solitude for a little while. Doesn't mean forever, but it feels like you need that right now. It's the word I'm getting for you is like you need to regroup. Yeah. Feels like you need to regroup and recharge, and you'll come out of your hermit phase with some clarity about what you're doing next, that then you'll have stronger goals or clearer intentions, or right now you need to rest and regroup and be alone a bit. All right, Capricorn, let's take a look for you, your full moon in Aries. So nothing's in your sign, but you've got oppositions with Aries, Libra, and Cancer. So by nature, it's squaring you. It's squaring Capricorn. It's so Capricorn, you're also going to feel an activation, because all those planets are squared off, and it just challenges you to make a choice, make a change. So let's see. And interestingly, you have the Wheel of Fortune, so it's hard to say. I mean, the Wheel of Fortune can be anything, because fate turns, and we don't know whether you're on the way up or on the way down, climbing or spinning or descending. So I will pull another card to define what part of the wheel you're on here. Oh, and good, you're at the star. Very nice. So the Wheel of Fortune and the star. So things are looking definitely upwards for you right now. Um, this could be like a moment where you're thrust into a more of a spotlight or recognition. You might take on more of a leadership role. And if it's not an outward thing, it could be inwardly that you feel more elevated and inspired, and you found a way to, maybe recover your mindset to feel more hopeful, or find something to focus on that brings you a sense of hope or inspiration or an elevated view of the world. So very positive moon for you. Whatever you get triggered by or activated by over this full moon, I have a feeling something good will come out of it, and you will reframe in a higher way, which is very cool. Information could come to light, somebody could present you with a book you've never read that just light bulbs go on for you. Some of you might actually step into a spotlight, like decide to take on a role in your community, or speak out or write something that brings a bit of attention, because the star can bring you recognition. So let's take a look then for Aquarius. And for you, I have the Knight of Swords, the King of Swords. And as you see, he looks pretty stressed out, and he's dashing into the battle faster than he can. He's trying to push his horse faster than the horse wants to go here. So, oh boy, do you need to slow down, man? You need to slow down and take a deep breath. You're dashing in so fast you could hurt yourself. And I don't know exactly what that might be applying to, but you probably know. There's some area of your life, something that you want to do or get done, or a person that you're hoping, whatever it is, you are rushing this way too fast. Like the knight is driving this horse faster than it wants to go. It looks terrified, which is like, a metaphor of somebody very, like, very impatient, or passionate for sure, but impatient, unrealistic in the bigger picture of the goal and the pace and the timing, danger seeking or risking danger. And it's not nice when the horse is terrified, because other people around you might be nervous for you, of what you're doing or how fast or the way you're going about something. So, whoa, Nelly. Okay. Whoa is what you need. Whoa, slow down. Put on some brakes. All right, Pisces. So, you're in this last few degrees retrograde of Saturn. So the people born at the end of Pisces, towards like 16th of March onwards, to 20th or whatever, that's who's feeling this the most. Let's take a look. And your message is the Lovers. So as you can see, this Lovers card is not terribly lovey-dovey, right? They're standing far apart. There's a mountain between them. There's like an angel with red wings above them, orchestrating everything. It's Adam and Eve. She's got the serpent behind her, and she's looking up at this angel. He's looking at her. And even though it's supposed to be a love relationship, so we think with lovers, you have to wonder, is this a good match? Who's orchestrating this match? What is bringing these people together, and why? Because the dark red wings don't feel very good. You could say red is passion, but this feels a little too dark, too, like, so the thing is, there's a triangle. It's not two people. There's a triangle. So where in your life do you have any triangles, love or otherwise? Triangulation happens everywhere. a third party trying to control the way your relationship with someone else is going. Take a look for that. Otherwise, the classic meaning is, love and partnerships. It can be any kind of partnership. You want to examine, these partnerships and see if it's really what you want, if it's really compatible. And as I mentioned, like it just really feels there's interference or something else or someone else involved. So maybe you've met somebody great and you're dating, but the mother or father of one of you is like causing a triangle because their opinions or the relationship with them is factoring into yours. It doesn't feel like it's just the two of you independently. There's a feeling of someone else around. And that could even be, it doesn't, even if it's not romantic, it could be with your friendships. There's a triangle influence. It could be even work wise. It could be a boss interfering, not even interfering, it doesn't have to be, could be, but just they're a factor somehow in your relationship with a coworker or a colleague, whatever. So you just want to take a look at, you know, yeah, the triangle or the outside influence in your relationships right now, and take a look at that and see if that brings you some insight as to what to do. All right, so pretty heavy duty predictions this time. I know, pretty heavy duty chart. These don't happen all the time. And please feel free if you're looking for a reading for guidance to talk about anything, to message me. I always leave my details below. If you're still here, thank you for listening to the whole thing. It would be nice if you like, click, and share. And take good care of yourself out there.